Está claro que está más difícil que antes de empezar el partido. Nos quedan 8 jornadas y básicamente lo que le he dicho a los jugadores. Esté como esté la Liga, la distancia que tengamos con el Barça, nuestro siguiente objetivo es ganar los 8 que quedan. Y para hacerlo tenemos que jugar mejor de lo que hemos hecho hoy, rendir a un nivel mucho más alto. Somos conscientes, claro que está todo más difícil porque quedan menos jornadas y la distancia esta noche puede ser mayor, pero nuestro objetivo tiene que ser el mismo. Sí, seguramente un poco el contexto, la ansiedad de verte por debajo en el marcador, la paciencia que teníamos que tener, incluso sabiendo que iba a ser más difícil, que íbamos a encontrar un Mallorca en un contexto pues, más favorable para ellos, que nos cerrasen mucho más los espacios, pues también con más energía de verte con el resultado a favor y quizá no hemos tenido ni esa paciencia ni bueno, lo que hemos trabajado durante la semana, ni poder girarles y tener más situaciones de uno para uno por fuera. Nos ha faltado muchas más cosas en la segunda parte y bueno, como tú dices, ¿no? Creo que hemos hecho una primera parte bastante mejor que la segunda, siendo que necesitábamos un poquito más en la segunda parte con mucha más energía y también más claridad de ideas.
Interesting there. He says that they didn't have patience with their preparation for this match leading into it, and then not having that patience to put that on the pitch today. Interesting. And if you look here, the season split between these two sides, between these two managers, Arbeloa and Xabi Alonso, the same amount of losses for both of these managers, but in a lot less games for Arbeloa. Incredible stuff here. Phil, I got a question for you. Is this the league done for Real Madrid?
I think this is the league done for Real Madrid. That's why it felt so big for Barcelona to win, because 7 points means that Barcelona have to slip up in 2 games, and then there's the Clásico, which they're at home. They've got a 100% record at home against Real Madrid. I think this is the league title done. I've been saying it for a long time on the show now. I think Barcelona are going to win the league because they're the best team, and over the course of 38 matches, the best team almost always wins the title. And somehow Real Madrid have been clawing their way and just about staying on their coattails. But today was just more of the same, what we've seen from Real Madrid. I feel like a broken record when we talk about this Real Madrid performance, because it is not the first time we've seen Real Madrid play like this this season. And you saw the stats there, the 5 defeats that Alvaro Arbeloa has suffered as Real Madrid manager. Who have those defeats come to? Because he's lost to Albacete, he's lost to Benfica, he's lost to Osasuna, he's lost to Getafe, and he's lost to Mallorca. We are not talking about the heavyweights of Spanish or European football. There have been some really, really disappointing showings. This wasn't the first half. Arbeloa said, first half wasn't bad, and it wasn't the worst first half performance from Real Madrid. Second half was abysmal from Real Madrid. The league title is on the line. You are playing for the league title, and there was nothing. There was the only one that was even vaguely trying out there was Vinicius Junior. They had 2 shots on target the whole of the second half. One of them was the goal, which came late on. There was genuinely nothing from Real Madrid. Massively disappointing, but we could see this coming because we've seen this kind of game before from Real Madrid.
Mike, we've seen this kind of lack of tactical versatility, if you will, for Real Madrid when their individual brilliance, when their plan A doesn't go well, there is not much of a plan B, especially against the low block. They seemed real static against that low block, and it's not the first time we've seen that this season.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see what it looked like on the game, but for me, the big problem that I was looking at is, and I'm not going to sit here and be controversial, was how would this look with Kylian Mbappe back into the team, right? You had a fluid, free-flowing Real Madrid team. This is Vinny Jr. when he's coming off the field. Mallorca, we're going to put 3 players, at times more, because Vinny's the main man. Emphasis on that. But look at Mbappe. Look at the rest of the players. Brahim Diaz. Now, this is Kylian Mbappe. 4 players locked into Vinny. If you're Mbappe, he's starting centrally, but now I want you to see his body language. He's jogging, he's jogging, he's jogging. That doesn't look like a player who's thinking about anything other than getting the ball to his feet. 4 more players going. Now, keep an eye on the 2 centrally. I mean, if you're Mallorca, you could have had a cafecito on the day and chilled. It was that poor from Real Madrid. Vinny Jr. aside, like Phil said, it just didn't seem from them that they had any idea of how they wanted to play. And frankly, their body language said they were aside. They were thinking about the Champions League match coming up because the effort wasn't there. But in terms of being static, in terms of not being fluid, I have a lot of concerns because the one player that was missing today was Fede Valverde. Okay. And this Real Madrid side, I said it before, I said it 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago before the international break. I know that Kylian Mbappe scores the goals, but Fede Valverde is the heart and soul of the team. Vinny Jr. is the one that wins games, and now they have a long look in the mirror that's coming up before the Champions League.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling when you look at them, because when it comes down to, if you're talking about effort with a club like Real Madrid, that's not a good conversation to be having. And I understand that tactically, Mallorca did some things that made it difficult for them. But those clips, I think, were evident, Phil. And we saw Kylian Mbappe kind of just waiting to react, not making decisions, not making the runs when Vinny's coming into the box, and a lot of standing around. What needs to happen for this Real Madrid side to win trophies with Mbappe in the lineup? I mean, that's kind of where I'm not understanding, because he's scoring the goals, but they're still not getting all the wins and the trophies, which is ultimately what he's looking for.
Yeah, I mean, they waited a long time to bring Kylian Mbappe to Real Madrid. 7 years it took for them to finally get him, and he was supposed to be the crowning jewel in Real Madrid's crown, and are supposed to usher in a period of domestic and European dominance. And that hasn't happened, and it doesn't look like happening. I just want to put a caveat here and just say, Tuesday night, this is not going to be the same performance against Bayern Munich. And actually, this is what is annoying Real Madrid fans. And some of the Real Madrid fans, you know, obviously I live in Spain. I know lots of people who support Real Madrid. I live in Madrid, work in Barcelona, but live in Madrid. So I spend a lot of time amongst different fans. Real Madrid fans are annoyed and angry at how these guys, how can these SOBs turn on it when they fancy it, but when you've got to go away to Mallorca or at home to Getafe on a Monday night, you can't get up for it. And that actually frustrates and annoys the fans, because they can see. And that's the one thing that Real Madrid fans demand is effort. They demand effort. Now, they want to be entertained as well, but they want to win, and they want to see their players trying. And the things that Mike was highlighting there, I think, were absolutely spot on. A distinct lack of intensity, of movement. They were super static in a massive game. Again, you're trailing to Mallorca. The league title is on the line, and it was just this pathetic approach. So in the league, I think it's gone. But you can't discount them in the Champions League. I mean, I have previously discounted them in the Champions League, but I think that game against Manchester City turned everything around. And here in Spain, everyone's saying, "Oh my God, Real Madrid are going to do it again somehow." But my word, I can't give you a logical explanation why, because what we saw today was absolutely abysmal from them.
Yeah, Phil, I thought you put it really well. For me, when I watched this game, right, it just felt like Mallorca's desire to stay in La Liga and survive was greater than Real Madrid's desire to go and be in the conversation for a league title. And it's a dangerous game that you play. And I know, as you said, history is on their side in the Champions League, but at some point, you can't pick and choose which football matches you're going to turn up for. I still don't think this team is as good as they think they are. Definitely Mallorca exposed some of that. And I know it's La Liga, but this is a group, at their worst, which they were today, that's filled with arrogance, that's filled with entitlement. And if you're playing the best football club in the world, which is Bayern Munich right now, until someone else says otherwise, on the football pitch, you can't afford to pick and choose when you play against Bayern. Because if Harry Kane is fit, my word, I'd hate to see the scoreline for that.